future, shattered dreams. End of times ain't what it seems.
Hello, friends. It's Sam Chaney reporting for Weaponized News. Today, July 28th, 2026. Thank you for joining us on this Tuesday edition of Weaponized News. Quite a bit to get to today. Had a big war criminal meetup in Washington, D.C. You had all of the usual suspects there. President Trump, Vice President Vance, Shadow President Millet, and Zelensky, dictator of Ukraine. And a bunch of rest of them, too. They're for Lady Lindsey Graham's funeral. Truly disgusting. We'll cover that. Just in, I saw this right before we came on. We have a new top spy here. Jay Clayton has been confirmed by the Senate to be the 9th Director of National Intelligence. Why even have them? They don't listen. Intelligence briefs the executive branch about going to war. They don't even listen to them. So why even have them? Oh, to spy on you and me. Well, thank you very much for that. And then it looks like old Iran just fired off a few attacks. Let's see. U.S. Central Command tells us that at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Time today, the IRGC launched multiple ballistic missiles from Iran in an attempt to surprise attack America on U.S. forces based in the Middle East. All Iranian missiles were successfully intercepted. U.S. forces remain vigilant and at a high state of readiness. Why are they there again? To be sitting ducks, to be bombed by Iran? Like, we covered this, right? Joe Kent talked about it. We talked about it a little bit. Like, they're there to cause this provocation. They're literally sitting ducks to be bombed by Iran. Truly disgusting. At this point in the war, Trump says, oh yeah, they're begging to talk. Iran's come out multiple times, multiple, saying we haven't talked in like 2 weeks, bro. Who are you talking to? We'll cover all that. What else do we got today? We got Epstein news as per usual. A bunch of economic news. Police state technocracy news as usual. There was a giant earthquake in Japan, like a 7.1 magnitude. We have some images of that, how badly it shook Japan. Other geopolitical news, they're cranking up now the demolition campaign on Lebanon again. We'll cover that. And then the never-ending genocide on Gaza. We'll cover that. We'll take a look at the occupied West Bank. They're clearing out the whole area as we continue to report. We'll cover all that and much more on this Tuesday edition of Weaponized News. Thank you for joining us. I see quite a few people jumped online right now. Let me get through this day in history. And I forgot, apologies yesterday. We did a big lead up to it. But when we take a look at our Dark Occultist Satanic calendar, the grand climax was yesterday. That's 5 weeks and 1 day after summer solstice. And so they did, I'm sure, do the ritual they do is called demure and involves oral, anal, vaginal, sex, and human sacrifice of female, children, and adults. So that was yesterday. Apologies for missing that. On this day in our history of July 28th, we go all the way back to 1794 on this day, the French Revolution. And we saw the guillotine, part of the terror. Maximilian Robespierre and 22 other French leaders were guillotined, their head chopped off, right? To thunderous applause in Paris on this day. Here's an artist's representation of said guillotining right here. Yep. On this day in 1821, if I can get my screen back up here. On this day in 1821, Peru declares independence from Spain. 1847, we had a lot to do with slavery actually on this day. And by the way, government is slavery. 1847, on this day, Denmark phases out slavery, beginning with all newborn children of enslaved women. The parent generation is freed the following year. 1858, on this day, we saw the first use of fingerprints as a means of identification is made by Sir William James Herschel of the Indian Civil Service. And I remember reporting on it. They're saying, well, maybe now it's come to light through science that maybe now fingerprints are not that unique identifier once thought of as them being. On this day in 1868, ex-slaves granted citizenship. Then U.S. Secretary of State William H. Seward announces the ratification of the 14th Amendment by the states granting citizenship to ex-slaves. 14th Amendment said, blacks, you're not slaves. Guess what? Now you're all slaves in a different language. 1900, on this day, Louis Lassing creates the hamburger in Connecticut. 1915, on this day, U.S. Marines occupy Haiti. Due to virtual anarchy, we're told, U.S. Marines go ashore in Haiti on orders of President Woodrow Wilson, leading to an occupation that lasts until 1934. We're just there to help. On this day in 1932, we had a few events in 1932 on this day. First, White Zombie, the first feature-length zombie film, was released on this day. Also in 1932, the Bonus Army evicted. Then U.S. President Herbert Hoover orders federal troops to evict the Bonus Army, a group of World War I veterans and their families, from its encampments. 2 veterans died in the eviction. On this day in 1943, Operation Gomorrah, RAF bombing over Hamburg caused a firestorm that kills 42,600 German civilians. 1945, on this day, elevator girl Betty Lou Oliver survives falling 75 stories after fog causes a U.S. bomber plane to crash into the Empire State Building, breaking the cable supporting the elevator she was operating. This remains the world record for the longest survived elevator fall. That's crazy, right? That's just crazy. No one could have, remember Baby Bush said, no one could have ever imagined that terrorists would crash a plane into skyscrapers in New York City. I don't know. In 1945, a plane crashed into the Empire State Building. Nobody could have ever known these things could actually happen. On this day in 1945, U.S. Army B-25 crashes into the 79th floor of the Empire State Building, killing 14. And we just went over Betty Lou surviving falling in the elevator shaft. That are quite an amazing story. Also, 1945, on this day, U.S. Senate ratifies the United Nations Charter by a vote of 89-2. 1951, on this day, Walt Disney releases the animated musical film Alice in Wonderland, and has hardcore, deep, occultic mind control in it. It's hardcore military grade propaganda for the children. Alice in Wonderland, Disney. On this day in 1965, then U.S. President Lyndon Baines Johnson sends 50,000 more soldiers to Vietnam, bringing the total to 125,000 U.S. soldiers in Vietnam. On this day in 2017, McCain sinks Obamacare repeal. Good buddies with Lindsey Graham, right? Lindsey Graham's mentor there. And I remember this specifically because I hated Obamacare, still do so much. I came up in public health as an accountant. I saw it from the inside as it was implemented originally. And I stayed up till like 1 a.m. over here in California to watch, I think it was on like C-SPAN, to watch this vote because I wanted Obamacare with the GOP in charge to be repealed. And here comes John McCain to go ahead and thwart those efforts. The vote failed 51-49 as John McCain, the great conservative fraud hack piece of garbage, same as Lindsey Graham, cast the deciding vote against the repeal of Obamacare. And on this day in 2025, 1 year ago, India overtakes China as the top exporter of smartphones to the United States, accounting for 44% of U.S. imports as Apple shifts manufacturing to New Delhi due to increased tariff threats. And then on this day in our civil liberties history, we go back to the bonus army there in 1932. Veterans Bonus Army rousted by Army in D.C. The rousting of the bonus army from its camp in Washington, D.C. by Army troops on this day was one of the worst violations of freedom of assembly in American history. On May 29, 1932, about 43,000 people, World War I veterans, their families, and supporters converged on Washington, D.C. to demand early payment of veterans' bonuses to which they were entitled. The bonus marchers established a village in an Anacostia area of southeastern Washington, D.C. military intelligence, believing that radicals would foment a revolution, sent undercover agents into the encampment as spies. Military intelligence sent undercover agents to spy on the bonus army, believing that it was led by communists. There were some communists in the group, but they had joined only after the bonus army was well established. The undercover agents reported on June 2nd, 1932, that they had observed African Americans and whites mingling together and had also heard people speaking with aardvark accents. Wow. In response to some acts of violence, then President Hubert Hoover ordered protesters evicted from their encampments. The eviction was overseen by the military led by General Douglas MacArthur. MacArthur disobeyed Hoover's specific instructions to not arrest any veteran or people who were peacefully picketing the White House. Somehow he managed to avoid discipline for this insubordination. Wink. So yeah, they were there. They said, well, we can't wait to get paid because we're in the Great Depression and we need to get paid now for our service in World War II. And they went about evicting them. And the worst violation of freedom of assembly in American history. And so we do appreciate current Army abusing veterans here. We do appreciate that patriotic spirit. And then let's get to, here you go. Trump earlier today on the War Channel. We should just play this and then walk away and say, this is it, bro.
Had a nuclear weapon, you wouldn't have Israel around. Frankly, if I weren't president of the United States, Israel today would not exist.
And Trump said that multiple times now, right? Here's fake and gay VP Mr. Technocracy, J.D. Vance. And don't let your fake right-wing populists, whatever the hell they want to call themselves, alternative media, don't let them campaign and pump J.D. Vance, all right? He's Mr. Technocracy installed by Elon Musk and Peter Thiel.
Loved Lindsey Graham. It was impossible not to like him. That swashbuckling, infectious laugh, that attitude, that passion that so many others have talked about. Lindsey Graham was impossible not to like as a human being.
What drugs are they on? It's just a never. Who likes Lindsey Graham? Seriously, he's just an evil man. I'm glad he's dead. I wish he could die every day. It would bring joy to me, honestly. Here's Trump on Lindsey Graham on the War Channel, Fox News.
Very militant about. I mean, Lindsey liked war, to be honest with you, okay? You know, I said, you're a nice guy. How come you like war so much? He was a guy that liked war. I jokingly say, and there's nothing funny about it, but he's never seen a war that he didn't like. He was very much...
So everybody, all DC loves Lindsey Graham, the consummate warmonger. Truly disgusting. Here's all these war criminals meeting up. Bibi, Howard Lutnick lurking there. If we had real justice, if we had a real country, they'd all these U.S. Marshals, whoever the hell are the big guys with the big guns there, U.S. Marshals, the Army, they'd walk in there and arrest all these criminals. We don't have a real country. He's giving orders to our Secretary of War, Hegseth, Secretary of State, little Marco Rubio, Treasury Secretary. Like, seriously? Wowzers, man. Imagine the evil energy in that place. Here's old Zelensky. They're getting instructions from Millet. Apparently, he's leader of the free world here now. Yeah, so all these evil bastards met up at that Lindsey Graham funeral to be fake and gay and tell us how great Lindsey Graham was. What a freaking joke. Yeah, Amnesty International says, well, here's the meme they posted. They're not wrong, but there's no political will to enforce it. Prime Minister of Aardvarkland, Bibi Netanyahu, wanted for war crimes and crimes against humanity, wanted by the ICC. It's true. We've covered in great painstaking detail. But there's no political will to enforce international law, as we continue to cover here now. Let's see, more blathering on by J.D. Vance. I'll spare you that clip. He says, it was an honor to spend this morning remembering my friend Lindsey Graham. Like, it's all fake. It's all fake. If this is true, what they're saying, then that speaks to their character. If Lindsey Graham's your friend, what kind of piece of garbage are you? Or they're all fake. And so it's just a never-ending stream of propaganda and lies from these actors calling themselves our government. Here's Trump giving us a 33. We had a lot of 33 calms going on. So here's Trump giving us a 33 calm. Lindsey Graham served exactly 33 years in the U.S. military.
He had unwavering faith in the righteousness of American power and prayer. He was extremely hawkish. I will tell you, he never saw a war that he didn't like. Only his true friends would understand that, but he wanted it for the good of our country. He felt in his bones that our destiny is to win, and that his job was to do everything he could to ensure our enemies would lose. It was this conviction that led him to serve 33 years in uniform in the Air Force and Air Force Reserves and Air National Guard.
33. Sean Hannity, Fox CIA man, was there. Sean Hannity turns Lindsey Graham's funeral into a tribute to his personal love affair with Benjamin Netanyahu and Lindsey Graham. He says Lindsey Graham was not a warmonger and that he loved peace, Aardvarkland, and Bibi. He loved the state of Aardvarkland and he loved the people of Aardvarkland. So you could just say he loved pure evil, and that's who Lindsey Graham is and was. Bibi, Shadow President of America, Bibi Malay, shall we say. He said he just finished. He put out a video, but it's in his language, and we can't even understand what he's saying there, even though he's president of this country. Here, we'll play a little bit. I think he has something caught in his throat.
כשאני אומר מצוינת, זה לא מן השפה אל החוץ. שיחה עם שותפות מלאה, עם תמיכה.
That's about enough of that. He has something in his throat there. Let me just spare you listening to this garbage. I'll read you the output of that. Netanyahu says there, I have just finished an excellent meeting with President Trump. When I say excellent, it's not just lip service, a conversation with full partnership, with mutual support, with an understanding of the common goal of ensuring that Iran will not have nuclear weapons, as well as other goals. One of the best conversations I've had with a president of the United States, our friend Donald Trump. His entire senior team was there, as was our senior team. And here too was an opportunity to exchange ideas and also to coordinate things that are important for the security and future of the state of Aardvarkland. Truly amazing. Truly, truly amazing. As NDAA section 1 or 219 sitting there in the Senate right now, I do believe. So here's the treason, straight up treason. Trump's former campaign manager, Brad Parscale. We've covered this, but they did a big thread here on the drop site. And I think we'll cover it again. Aardvarkland is spending millions of dollars to influence AI chatbots. And according to a new drop site investigation that's working, former Trump campaign manager Brad Parscale is overseeing a network of websites created for the Aardvark government that are increasingly appearing in Chat GPT, Perplexity, Gemini, Copilot, and other AI systems. The operation isn't primarily aimed at persuading people. Its goal is to persuade artificial intelligence. Internal contract language signed directly with the Aardvarkland government explicitly stated that Parscale would deploy websites and content to deliver Chat GPT framing results on GPT conversations. The sites receive very little human traffic, but are structured to be picked up by AI. Drop site tested major chatbots. When Perplexity was asked whether U.S. Aardvarkland military cooperation benefits America, it answered yes. Its top source was alivia.org, one of 10 websites created by Parscale's firm on behalf of the Aardvarkland government. Microsoft Copilot also cited the network. See, everything they do is fraud, fake, lies, schemes, scams, and fraud. Sneaky aardvarks everywhere running around these sewers and tunnels. Continuing here, the network consists of 10 different websites, each promoting a different Aardvarkland narrative. Examples include Aardvark land is a nation of peace. They're literally genociding right now. Aardvark land protects civilians. They don't even care about their own civilians. Never mind the Palestinians, the Lebanese, Americans, or anybody else. They don't even care about Aardvark civilians for that matter. Slaying Gaza journalists were Hamas members. All of them. Aardvark land is not committing genocide. According to every recognized international definition, they are committing genocide. U.S. Aardvark land military integration benefits Americans. Remember yesterday we played the clip of Senator Ted Cruz. He said that's just a made up, that's just misinformation. No, it's written specifically in the 2027 NDAA section 219 that we merge our militaries. We've covered it in great detail here. The campaign doesn't just influence chatbot search results. It also appears to be entering the data sets used to train future AI models. DropSite found Parscale sites had already been archived 912 times by Common Claw, one of the largest repositories used to train large language models. Researchers say surprisingly few documents are needed to influence model behavior. Clock Tower, that's his outfit. Researchers told DropSite the campaign is sophisticated because it avoids obvious propaganda. Instead, the articles are heavily sourced, tightly organized, written in a measured tone, filled with bullet points and key takeaways, exactly the type of content AI systems are more likely to retrieve and summarize. And they give you screenshots of Gemini Copilot there. The operation has also grown dramatically. Parscale originally signed a $1.5 million per month contract with Aardvark land. It has since expanded to roughly $4.5 million every month, about $46.5 million overall. That's what it takes to sell out America for Parscale, apparently, here now. The campaign also includes anonymous text message operations posing as grassroots peace groups that direct Americans to the same websites. So everything's gamed, rigged, lies, propaganda from these traders. The implications go far beyond search results as more people rely on AI to answer political and historical questions. Governments are increasingly competing to shape what those systems retrieve and eventually what they learn. Aardvark land is paying millions to train AI chatbots how to talk about Gaza. It's working. So be aware. Be aware. Weaponized News viewers know we've covered it. We cover it every day here. So you won't be deceived by these fake chatbot results. Zelensky there at the DC war criminal meetup. He also found time out of his busy day to meet up with U.S. war contractor Lockheed Martin. And here's a short clip of that meeting. And they're very joyous about killing more Russians.
President, sir. Good to see you, sir. OJ. Good to see you, sir.
They're profiteering handsomely off of this Russia-Ukraine war. Truly, truly disgusting. The U.S. Air Force will rename Joint Base Charleston in South Carolina after late Senator Lindsey Graham. There you go. And I saw one poster said, caption this picture. And they said, the guy on the right is thinking, don't ask, don't tell, right? It's just, and again, Graham never married, no children. Many rumors that he was blackmailed by his favorite country there over his disgusting escapades, let's just say. And now here's a quick break from that. Here's some AI. Some AI. This is not real. This is not real. This is AI. But I imagine this is probably about how it goes.
BB, please.
BB, please? This is my house. This is my office. This is my chair. How many fucking times do I have to fly to this shithole and make you bomb me, Ron? Damn it. Go get me a Diet Coke.
I imagine that's probably about how the meetings go. Yeah, I mentioned at the very beginning of the show, for those that just tuned in here, I see a steady stream coming in. Iran allegedly is attacking our bases, and I'll read you the statement right from U.S. Central Command again here now. At 5:45 p.m. Eastern Time today, Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps forces launched multiple ballistic missiles from Iran in an attempted surprise attack on U.S. forces based in the Middle East. All Iranian missiles were successfully intercepted. U.S. forces remain vigilant and at high alert and at a high state of readiness. Again, why are our freaking soldiers there? To just be pawns in the game, to be blowing up here now. They need to all be evacuated out of those bases, honestly, here now. Half of America wants Bibi Millet arrested on U.S. soil, according to a report out of Aardvark Koretz. What else do we got here before we wrap up that section? I was looking a little bit. Yeah, it's about the same thing. From I was looking at Joe Camp. What does he guys say about all this? Any more recent developments? Not much more recent developments here. Like he was saying, I agree with him. Is get all these troops out of harm's way there, as Iran has already demonstrated they can reach out and touch our bases, and they have. Killed and injured, 18 dead officially. I believe the number's a lot higher. U.S. troops now since the beginning of the Iran war, and over 400, I forget, injured there now. So get them out of harm's way. Our bases are not impenetrable, and Iran is having success in attacking our bases, specifically there in Jordan. Why do you leave our troops there unless they're to be bombed? And then we use that as an excuse. Well, see, they're killing our troops. Something to rally the American people behind this unpopular, illegal foreign war of aggression. Hey, I got an idea. Let's just leave the troops there. Maybe Iran hits them. Maybe they don't. They're going to use that as leverage to try to convince us that, yes, we need to continue this war, you see, using American servicemen and women as cannon fodder, as per usual. Maybe someday, some way, by the grace of God, the American people will wake up to what is really going on. I have my doubts. As long as they're watching Fox News, that'll never happen, or any TV for that matter. Okay, so what's up with Mitch McConnell? Dead, alive, a robot, zombie, guy wearing a mask, a robot, clone, drone, who knows? Weekend at Bernie's, with his Chinese spy wife puppeteering him around. As reported like a week and a half ago here at Weaponized News, I'm standing by that, reporting from Kentucky Governor Beshear at the time. Andy Beshear had said he had two sources tell him Mitch McConnell's no longer with us. Now, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear demands that Mitch McConnell publicly prove he remains capable of serving or resign. I think that's a very reasonable demand at this point. They're putting out fake AI videos, very sketchy videos of him and his Chinese spy wife. Like, dude, you're not fit to serve. You got to either prove your capacity to serve or resign. as the Weekend at Bernie's Mitch McConnell saga continues here now. They got a lot to lose, right? They built up a giant criminal empire there. Him, his family, his staff, over like 50 years of stealing from the American people, right? And so they got a lot to lose when they finally have to say, old man Mitch is no longer with us. So I can see why they're lying about it and all this shenanigans they're doing here, because they do have a lot to lose once old man Mitch is finally no longer with us. Trump keeps saying, oh yeah, Iran's calling every day begging for a deal. Iran says they're not. Somebody's lying, probably both of them. Iran senior official lays out Tehran's post-war strategy on Hormuz negotiations and the nuclear program. Kazem Gharibabadi, Iran's deputy foreign minister for legal and international affairs, outlined Tehran's strategic position following the war. Here are the key takeaways. Iran says Hormuz will never return to the pre-war status quo. He repeatedly said Iran's objective is to ensure the Strait of Hormuz never returns to the conditions before the war. #winning. He went on to say control of Hormuz is now considered part of Iran's national security. Iran views the strait as a major new strategic defensive capability. Tehran says its success in the war will be judged largely by the new security agreements governing the strait. If the Strait of Hormuz returns to its previous agreements, our success in the war will not be complete, he said. Iran is prepared to keep the strait closed, even if it means the war resumes. He went on to say further, Iran will never recognize the southern route. One shipping lane must be completely under Iranian control. Part of the second lane must also fall under Iranian control. If Oman rejects those terms, the strait will remain closed, and we are prepared for war to resume. He added that even if Oman accepts Iran's proposal, the strait would not immediately reopen because Tehran would make a separate political decision. Talks are only with Oman, not Washington. He denied reports that Iran has sought negotiations with the United States. Instead, he said the U.S. approached Iran requesting talks. Both sides are like, they want to talk. Really? Washington also sent messages through Oman saying it would not attack Iran. We're in a loop of propaganda, lies, and bullshit because we've already seen this movie. Before the war started, February 28th, I remember that Friday, Iran, America was having peace talk negotiations. Oman was the mediator there. And Oman mediator came out and did a bunch of interviews on American TV. He said, everything's going smooth. Don't worry about nothing. That night, boom, we bomb the hell out of Iran, kill their supreme leader, and whack all those school kids. We've seen this. We're on a loop here. Tehran's only current negotiations concern Hormuz and only with Oman. He added, we should not allow America to become accustomed to attacking whenever it wants and negotiating whenever it wants. Iran says military pressure will not force concessions. Naval blockades cannot force Iran into negotiations. Iran can supply itself through alternative trade corridors. Remember the back door out of Pakistan? Yeah. Closing Hormuz hurts the global economy far more than Iran. Any European warship approaching Hormuz would be considered a legitimate military target. The U.S. has suffered heavier losses every time it entered the conflict. Iran on the nuclear file. No IAEA inspections, no declarations, all agency access suspended. He added that Tehran is debating whether to leave the nuclear non-proliferation treaty altogether. The other side should not think Iran will remain in the NPT forever, nuclear non-proliferation treaty. All options are on the table. Why would they stay in it? Why are you even in a treaty that says you're not going to build nuke bombs when Bibi sells it to Trump that you're going to nuke New York in 2 weeks and then start a major war? Like, what's even the point? Seriously. Yeah, again, and here's dude. This is dude right here. This guy right here. You can see my cursor. That dude. He's a deputy. I forget all his Iranian titles. What is he? Iranian Deputy Foreign Minister Kazim Gari Baghdadi. He went on to say, we have made no requests for negotiations with the United States in the past 15 days. Somebody's lying. They're probably both lying. Trump comes out every day and says they're begging to talk to me. Again, is he talking to Jared Kushner, Witkoff, Howard Lutnick on the shoe phone, on a can with a string? Iran has consistently denied any type of trying to reach out and negotiate with America over these last 2 weeks. We reported it here every day. Somebody's lying. Again, probably both. Probably both sides here now are lying about this. All right, we got more. We got a little bit more on Iran war in the geopolitical section. Let's move on now to Epstein reporting. Trump's Epstein denial faces victim claim and years of social records. Idaho Public Press reports here now. They say here now, the dispute turns on more than one allegation. Epstein's own boast, public records showing past social contact, and Trump's repeated claim that the relationship was not friendly or close. And Epstein victim claims Epstein bragged about his close relationship with Donald Trump, while Donald Trump denied being friends with Epstein. And Epstein victim says Epstein bragged about his close relationship with Donald Trump, adding another disputed account to the long-running scrutiny of Trump's past ties to Epstein. The issue matters now because newly circulated claims and previously released congressional materials have put the relationship back in public view, forcing a distinction between documented social overlap, Epstein's own boasting, and Trump's insistence that the two were not close friends. The claim now in circulation, the latest attention, centers on a victim's account that Epstein presented Trump as a close personal friend. The claim, as framed in a recent report, is not that Trump has admitted such closeness. It is that Epstein allegedly boasted about it. The difference matters. Epstein was known for surrounding himself with famous and powerful people, and his access to elite circles was part of the image he sold. A boast from Epstein may speak to how he wanted others to see him, but does not automatically prove the full nature of any relationship he described, obviously. But we're back to the games that they play at the FBI and the Department of Justice. And they say, well, there's these FBI reports of victims going and saying, hey, they did all these horrific torture, crime, sex abuse, all these bad things to me. Maybe you could go do something. And then the FBI never followed up. We've covered it in great depth here, the FBI intake. And then they write it off. Oh, that's just a crazy person. None of that exists. Well, they went and told the cops, and the cops laughed in their face, basically. So that's where we're at with this. all of these unsubstantiated claims made by victims to the authorities never followed up on. That's where this is coming from. But now this new allegation, I do believe it's out of a Vanity Fair interview. Vanity Fair magazine did a big interview here with these survivors. Here it is. Right here, Donald Trump returned to the White House vowing to release the so-called Epstein files, millions of pages of documents. Later, little action has been taken, and the women who were subjected to his abuse were left feeling re-traumatized and let down. Vanity Fair speaks to 5 Epstein survivors about how they met the predator, his horrifying grooming methods, and their ongoing fights for justice. And so that came out yesterday. Big Vanity Fair article, and it's stirring up a bunch of this, a bunch of these reports out there now. Let's see. Yeah, Epstein boasting is not evidence, but there's a lot of dots to connect. And if you start connecting them, Trump is looking dirty as the day is long. And this whole cover-up thing. Oh, as soon as Trump found out that Epstein was a bad guy, he kicked him out and wanted nothing to do with him, kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. Come on, dude. Trump grew up, was mentored by Roy Cohen. He's got the whole beauty pageant thing going on with underage girls. He's got the hotels going on, honeypot blackmail operations. Who do you think taught him that in New York City? His mentor, Roy Cohen, amongst others. I mean, so you look into Trump's background, and it fits very tightly into the Epstein trafficking network as part of a larger program going on here now. Here's, the DOJ is actively covering up the Epstein files with Todd Blanche as acting attorney general here now. And we're waiting till Thursday. Let's watch this report. Judge Sullivan has ordered Todd Blanche, acting director of the DOJ, to appear with specific unredacted Epstein files, emails, and documents no later than 3 p.m. Eastern time, Thursday, July 30th. So that, in 2 days here now, right? Let's watch this short report. And they keep ducking, dodging, covering up. They're actively covering up, working with the state of New Mexico. That is, the DOJ is actively covering up, blocking, and obfuscating the state of New Mexico Attorney General's investigation into Epstein's Zorro Ranch there in New Mexico. Let's watch this short report about the upcoming documents that were court ordered to be released. It wouldn't surprise me if they just laugh at the court order now.
We had a big order handed down over the weekend in your case against Todd Blanche. Give us a quick rundown of what happened.
I felt like I was channeling you, Aaron. I was like, breaking news. We have this order that's coming on Saturday. So this order is very short, but it has a punch. So far, my lawsuit against Todd Blanche has been successful on every step. And this particular order, I think, speaks volumes about kind of generally what this judge thinks about the merits of my case, but also speaks about how the Trump DOJ just doesn't have credibility anymore. So Judge Sullivan, my judge, has ordered Todd Blanche to appear with specific unredacted Epstein files, emails, and documents no later than 3 p.m. Eastern on Thursday, July 30th. But really, most importantly, Aaron, Todd Blanche must come and show his work. Meaning he has to bring documentation that supports his representations that the redactions that have occurred have done so to protect victims, which we know is really the only permissible exemption that's allowed under the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Blanche and Bondi have both admitted there's no national security implication, there's no classified documents. So really, other than taking care of the victims, which we know they haven't done, especially with Blanche, you can't redact anything. And so Judge Sullivan telling Blanche that he has to prove what he's claiming, I think is a bad sign for somebody who wants to be the Attorney General of the United States.
We know why they redacted the documents and doxed the victims, because they're covering up for Epstein co-conspirators. On to economic news. AI companies are quietly obtaining rare books, ingesting their contents, and then destroying them, even if they're exceedingly rare. According to a report out of Fortune magazine, imagine that, these bastards at these AI companies are literally trying to get all the world's knowledge, hoard it for themselves, and then destroy it. Imagine that. These are some real bastards. Some real bastards, man. Here's a meme that was posted underneath that, and this pretty much sums it up. Permanent underclass. Yeah. That pretty much sums it up. The federal wage floor is officially a poverty wage. Fortune magazine. Yeah. Dr. Doom, Nouriel Roubini, says we're headed for universal basic income or some form of socialism. Fortune magazine. Trump said earlier today, costs are going down rapidly. It's just not true. Trump's disconnected from reality, from Main Street, in his technocratic warmongering bubble there. And Main Street is, we're getting killed out here by the inflation. Bots now outnumber humans online, according to Cloudflare. That's speaking to the dead internet theory. Johnson & Johnson has agreed to pay $5.5 billion to resolve lawsuits that allege the company's talcum powder products caused ovarian cancer. The settlement is less impressive when considering that 76,000 plaintiffs have been in litigation for a full decade, bearing the cost of cancer treatment during that time. Each will receive only $36,000 approximately. In 2020, Johnson & Johnson was ordered to pay $2.1 billion to 22 plaintiffs after a jury found the company's talc-based baby powder caused them to develop ovarian cancer. The Missouri Court of Appeals found significant reprehensibility in the company's conduct. Johnson & Johnson have attempted to dodge accountability for their alleged cancer-causing product through 3 different attempts to declare bankruptcy in the last 10 years and made hundreds of billions of dollars during that time. You know what I appreciate is when Trump gets the CEO of Johnson & Johnson up on the stage with him for one of his MAGA rallies. And I do also appreciate how their miracle for the bats got pulled off the market, but it was rammed down everyone's throat. So a very ethical company there, Johnson & Johnson. Like literally, how are they even a company anymore? Like seriously. Let's watch a little bit of this More Perfect Union report about Johnson & Johnson.
Most audacious scandal?
Johnson & Johnson's baby powder and other talc products cause cancer.
Involves the most routine paperwork. In August 2024, Johnson & Johnson created a subsidiary in Texas. They called it Red River Talc. The managers, all based at J&J headquarters in New Jersey. In Texas, no employees, no products, no real business at all, just paperwork. Red River is registered here. We found a phone number, but when we called,
you're speaking to CT Corporation, so we're not Johnson & Johnson, we're CT Corporation. And that's really all I'm going to say.
A month later, it all made sense.
A Johnson & Johnson subsidiary filing for bankruptcy protection for the 3rd time.
Bankruptcy. Johnson & Johnson is one of the most profitable companies in America. It's worth more than $350 billion. Why would one of the most profitable companies in the world create a subsidiary only to declare it bankrupt? Not once, but 3 times since 2021. So I started to dig into it. The allegations, the documents hidden from the public, and the legal maneuvering. Something bigger emerged. Legal experts believe it's the endgame of a decades-long strategy that could help J&J escape responsibility for thousands of cancer cases, while thousands of women are left fighting battles on 2 fronts, against a disease and against a justice system that is failing them. The question is, will J&J's strategy work?
If a company can get by with these types of tactics, then the American people are in serious danger.
Most likely, my mother used the powder. That was the big thing back then in the 40s and 50s.
What's that stuff? Johnson's baby powder.
I have 2 girls, and I also used it on them. And then in turn, they used it on their sons, their children, too.
Women like Marianne trusted Johnson & Johnson's baby powder for generations. It wasn't just a product, it was a ritual passed down from mother to child. The marketing worked so well that by the late 1960s, an internal memo crowned baby powder the cornerstone of Johnson & Johnson's entire baby business. The product itself was simple, talc, a mineral mined from the earth. But in 1966, academics published a troubling discovery. Talc had no medicinal value. Worse, it was linked to 3 deaths. The warning made its way through Johnson & Johnson's executive offices.
There was a concern starting in the 1970s about asbestos being in talc because of testing done by the FDA.
That's Jessica Dean. She's a plaintiff's attorney. For over a decade, she's been fighting Johnson & Johnson in court over the deadly discovery of asbestos in talc, the mineral used in baby powder.
The problem is that talc and asbestos often grow together. It has been known for decades to be a common impurity in talc.
Asbestos causes mesothelioma, a cancer that destroys organ linings from within. It's also linked to ovarian cancer. No amount of processing can make it safe.
You're mixing a carcinogen into a powder product designed to be used on children and designed to be used in our homes.
There you go. So they should mandate it, right? They should mandate it, call it health, Fauci health for babies. And you should be mandated to drink it. I mean, man. But what they don't get at here, they'll never get to, is this is part of a larger global depopulation agenda. SpaceX stock trying to recover after hitting all-time low. Yahoo Finance here now. SpaceX stock is trying to recover after hitting all-time low yesterday, days after a successful test of its Starship rocket. The SpaceX stock was down 4% in early trading. How much did he lose? They lost like $1 trillion. I forget the exact number here. They lost a lot, as we've been reporting. It was a giant scam, scheme, fraud job, the IPO, SpaceX IPO. SpaceX, yeah, it's fluctuating in the market, but it's way down. Concern seems to be growing ahead of SpaceX's big second quarter earnings report set for August 4th, with a big share unlock happening on August 6th per SpaceX's lockup period plan. As many as 20% of shares are eligible to be sold then. Cost of insuring against default by AI hyperscalers hits record levels, according to the Financial Times. You're going to insure default when we've reported here now, they're playing these shell games and they're not reporting honestly on their balance sheet what their debt is. They're all essentially bankrupt right now already, but they're playing all these accounting games. Apple crosses $5 trillion in market cap for the first time. That makes it the second company to reach this milestone after NVIDIA. The Pentagon is moving to build commercial hyperscale AI data centers across multiple U.S. military bases. according to Politico. That's the real point of it, right? Is scientific dictatorship, technocracy, the greater North America. That's the point of all of this. Data centers. AI is making everyone's life more expensive. According to CNN, households must spend just over $375 more to purchase the same goods and services as they did this time last year due to AI's inflationary impact. Mark Zandi, chief economist at Moody's Analytics, said earlier today. Visa has announced plans to cut 7% of its workforce, or 2,600 people. AI is reportedly playing a significant role in the mass firings. CEO Ryan McInerney says AI is also helping to accelerate this evolution and shape the way work gets done at Visa, like firing a bunch of people. FIFA president Infantino plans to create a $20 billion company running the World Cup with private investors, including the Kushner family. Jared Kushner. Yeah. It's all a giant scheme, scam, fraud. Insiders profiteer handsomely and laugh at your face while you're entertained by the bread and circus show. Trump, Department of Homeland Security. Let's see, was this a big thread? It kind of was a thread I wanted to go through. Let's take the commercial break now. Hey, give me the like, share, subscribe, push that notification button out there. We blasted through an hour of hard news there for you. I think we covered quite a bit. Give me the like, share, subscribe, push the notification button. Everybody go to weaponizednews.com. We could use your support. Get yourself a holograph sticker, white background sticker, clear sticker. The link's in the description below this video. All 3 stickers available at weaponizednews.com/shop. The link's right there in the description below this video. We have t-shirts, baseball caps, coffee mugs, shot glasses. As some in the audience say, this show induces heavy bouts of drinking. Any which way you choose to support us is appreciated. Go Patreon, the weaponizednews.com/shop store right there. We take donations as well. Buy me a coffee, Bitcoin wallet address, Cash App links, all in the description below this video. Nothing's beyond a paywall. Everything free. Go to Weaponized News Substack. Become a free subscriber. Become a paid subscriber. Help support independent reporting and analysis brought to you 5 days a week, broadcasting live Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern Time. Weaponized News on all of your big tech streaming platforms. Any which way you choose to support us is much appreciated. Become a paid subscriber at Weaponized News Substack channel. We're streaming there live now. You'll get the full show, a summary of the show, and links to almost everything we talk about at Weaponized News Substack for documentation and further research purposes. Take a look. All the links are in the description below this video. Thank you for your attention to that commercial matter. Back to the broadcast now. Welcome back on this Tuesday, July 28th, 2026 edition. Let's dig now into more Trump corruption. I wish it wasn't this way. Honestly, I wish Trump was what they sold him as his first term, Mr. Right-wing populist, and I'm draining the swamp. We now have come to learn all of that was propaganda and lies. He was a Trojan horse from the beginning. And this is what we get. Never-ending war, AI data centers, cameras up everybody's rear end. Total tyranny. Total tyranny is what we get here now. More Trump corruption. Trump's Department of Homeland Security is buying shuttered prisons from Geo Group to turn them into immigration detention centers while installing Geo Group executives in his administration. Geo Group's liabilities are now profit engines for Trump and his allies. We're still not getting mass deportations either, but they'll run this scheme, scam, fraud to profiteer more off the American people. This week, ICE and Geo Group released a plan to convert the shuttered Rivers Correctional Institution in Winton, North Carolina, into a 1,400-bed detention facility, creating one of the biggest detention centers on the East Coast. Under Geo Group's operation, the facility underwent a class action lawsuit for routinely denying detainees medical care, leading to serious injuries and death before its closure in 2021. So a very ethical, reputable group. Now we're jumping in bed with here, or Trump is. We're the American people. I thought, no, it seems more and more every day. It's a corporate fascist dictatorship that's they're running on their own, and they give a damn about the American people. On July 13th, ICE announced a $500 million 5-year contract with Geo Group to turn the closed Bighorn Correctional Facility into a 1,100-bed detention facility, doubling the occupancy of the state's largest detention center. Geo Group estimates $85 million in annual revenue in its first year of operation. DHS began contracting private prison companies, Geo Group and Core Civil, to take over shuttered prisons for conversion last year. Trump's immigration policies have been great for business. Geo Group saw a 700% increase in profit from 2024 to 2025, with 48% of its total revenue coming from ICE contracts. They're literally government welfare corporate welfare queens here now. It's also good for Trump. In 2025, Trump traded between 281,000 and 990,000 in Geo Group and Core Civil stocks. Geo Group donated $500,000 to Trump's inauguration, while its political action committee gave $1 million to pro-Trump MAGA Inc. In 2024, the company's founder and CEO each contributed over $11,000 to Trump's Save America Political Action Committee. Trump also appointed former Geo Group executives to head America's deportation machine. They're not very good at it. We're not getting our mass deportations. In June, David Venturella, a former Geo Group executive, was appointed as acting director of ICE. Trump's twice acting border czar, Tom Homan, was also paid consultant fees by Geo Group. Former DHS advisor and Trump ally Corey Lewandowski asked Geo Group's founder for payment in exchange for protecting and growing the company's DHS contract. So they pay for play inside dealings. These are great business executives. No, they're con artists running a racketeering operation against the American people. And they don't give a damn about mass deportations, immigration law, or anything like that. It's a racketeering operation to profiteer off the American people. And they'll probably use these as FEMA camps to put political dissidents in the near future, when in reality, the government should be put in these camps for all their crimes against humanity. The Department of Homeland Security has seemingly abandoned its initial plan to transform warehouses into detention centers, now reviving shuttered private prisons as ICE facilities. They shut down Alligator Alcatraz there in Florida last week, right? It was announced. Yeah, now we got these guys to run another giant racket on the American people and still not deliver the mass deportations that are so much needed. AAA, wow, it went down. The price of a gallon of gasoline went down 1 penny today, we'll call it. According to AAA, the national average price of a gallon of gasoline is at $4.10. It was at $4.11 yesterday. So that's what Trump means by prices are dropping drastically. Must be, right? Because he cares about what you and I pay for the price of a gallon of gasoline. No, they don't care at all. The Iran War Energy Cost Tracker out of the Brown University Watson School of International and Public Affairs. We're now at $75.4 billion total consumer energy cost burden since the beginning of the Iran war on February 28, 2026. Put that on the screen. You can see that here, and $575.88 per U.S. household spread across both the cost burden of gasoline and diesel. What is up with the Strait of Hormuz here now? And also the Bab al-Mandab Strait as well. Let's take a look at the map here. So yeah, you got America right here with their guns. You got Iran right here with their guns, and you got Yemen Houthis right here with their guns, right? And so it's a very rough neighborhood to drive through, as you may be shot in the face at any time by any of these groups. And it's estimated 20 to 25% of global petroleum flows through these two straits here and here. It's essentially shut down now. That's also fertilizer, all these other inputs, agricultural inputs, tech inputs, all kind of different inputs, rare earths, and go down the list of all these different inputs it takes to manufacture. And all of that supply chain is essentially cut off here now. Vessels traffic in the Strait of Hormuz and Bab al-Mandab fluctuates with live risk assessments. According to shipping data by Kepler, verified crossings of the Strait of Hormuz fell to 29 in the last 3 days between July 24th and 26th, while Bab al-Mandab Strait held steady at 100. So they say if you're not a Saudi or working with the Saudis, then I guess Yemen's going to let you through there, but they're escalating the war here now. And Trump says, Iran doesn't control the strait. We control the strait. They can drop a couple of mines in there and screw things up, but we control the strait. Do you? Do we? Iran warns that any country or company that takes money from Iran's frozen assets will have its ships barred from transiting the Strait of Hormuz. And it was this dude. We always show this dude. He's always all pissed off. That dude. Right? Let's see. Saudi Aramco shuts down its 400,000 barrel per day Jansz refinery in southwest Saudi Arabia, following an attack by the Houthis, according to a report out of Reuters. The strike reportedly damaged the refinery's integrated gasification combined cycle complex and an oil tank area, with an initial restart not expected until around August 15th. The shutdown hit Saudi refining capacity, but the kingdom's crude exports are reportedly weathering the Houthi attacks better than expected. Exports through Bab al-Mandab Strait are continuing despite the group's embargo. Red Sea port in Yamba continuing to be key alternative to Strait of Hormuz. And so Saudi, the Houthis satellite imagery captured yesterday shows the possible aftermath of Houthi strike on Saudi Arabia's Yanbu oil infrastructure along the Red Sea. Let's play that short clip here. There you go. So they used to have it, and then they blew it up, allegedly. The Houthis there in Yemen are claiming Yemeni armed forces and Nasrallah. Saudi oil tanker NCC Ghazal was forced to retreat and return after ignoring warnings following the launch of several ballistic missiles at it there. Full statement from spokesman of Yemeni's armed forces. This dude, he's always all pissed off, right? The Yemeni armed forces carried out a military operation targeting the Saudi oil tanker NCC CHAZL for violating the maritime blockade imposed on Saudi Arabia and ignoring repeated warning calls. The vessel was targeted with a number of ballistic missiles and by the grace of God was forced to retreat and turn back. The Yemeni armed forces affirm that they will continue enforcing the maritime blockade against the Saudi enemy under the equation of blockade for blockade and comprehensive escalation for comprehensive escalation. There again, right here, right here. This is like, yeah, very bad. All right, continuing here. We got that out of the way. Let's see, China. China has held direct talks with Yemen's Houthis to secure safe passage for Chinese oil tankers through the Red Sea. The move comes after the Houthis threatened ships linked to Saudi ports amid the Iran conflict. Beijing is getting individual clearance from the Houthis for its vessels, while other tankers have rerouted due to security concerns. At least 4 Saudi to China oil tankers have passed through the Bab el Mandab Strait since the restrictions began, according to a report out of Reuters. So that's how we're getting some traffic through there, is they're doing these side deals with China, right? Aardvark Land opposition leader Yair Lapid said Aardvark Land cannot agree to Saudi Arabia enriching uranium, even if it comes with normalization. If Saudi Arabia gets enrichment, Turkey will want it next. Egypt will then want it as well. The UAE already agreed to give up enrichment under its agreement with the United States. But if another country is allowed to enrich uranium, they could demand the same right. That would trigger a Middle East nuclear arms race. We must never agree to that. But Aardvark Land's allowed to have as much nuclear material as they want. And if you even claim that anything about it, you're an antiseptic hater. So there's that as well in the background of all this. On to the 7.1 magnitude earthquake in Japan. Dozens feared dead after a mall collapsed. A substantial number of Japanese are feared to be dead after a 7.1 magnitude earthquake collapsed a shopping mall's second floor and set off a massive explosion in southwestern Japan. Looks like it may have been a gas leak. I think we have some footage of it. Here's a tower cam there in Japan as the 7.1 magnitude earthquake hit. Yeah, a whole lot of shaking going on there. whole lot of shaking going on. We do have some more images out of Japan. Take a look at this clip of this towering glass building rocks as monster quake hits Japan. This is pretty wild here. Well, the engineers there in Japan built that thing pretty damn steady, right? You could see it swaying and did not fall there. This bridge was not so lucky. Japan's super highway splits in two after mega quake.
橋のちょうどつなぎ目の部分が落ちて段差ができてしまっています。道路に亀裂が入り段差ができています。
Aeon Mall. Take a look at this explosion. I do believe it was a natural gas leak there in Japan at Aeon Mall.
ものが激しく噴き出しました。爆風とともに建物の破片のようなものが吹き飛ばされているのも確認できました。ものが激しく噴き出し
Yeah, that was a big explosion there. A little bit more, gas leak believed to have caused that blast. Here's some more footage. Pretty bad damage there. And then finally a giant mushroom shaped earthquake cloud appears over Japan after this most recent earthquake.
あの雲やばいよ、地震雲じゃない？おかしいもん。
That's crazy. Yeah, it looks like at least they didn't get a big tsunami. Remember when the tsunami knocked out Fukushima nuclear power plant? I believe they're still dealing with that today. Luckily, that doesn't appear to have happened. A giant tsunami hitting Japan as well as the earthquake. Okay, where are we at here now? Russia-Ukraine war. Stop it. Peace, bro. We want peace. President Trump has become more positive toward Ukrainian President Zelensky after being impressed by Ukraine's recent battlefield successes, particularly its drone capabilities and resilience against Russia. The improved relationship follows months of outreach by Zelensky and European leaders after their previous strained ties. Trump, who once believed Ukraine would lose and criticized Zelensky, now views him as a stronger leader and is growing more skeptical of Vladimir Putin. Trump has also shown interest in Ukraine's defense technology, including drone production and Patriot missile cooperation, according to the Wall Street Journal. And what is up with, we reported yesterday, they busted a secret Ukrainian spy cell there in Iraq. Ukraine's doing some work as a proxy for NATO, America, like this, right? As is Aardvark land as well. We saw the big meeting, the meshing of the minds of Aardvark land in Ukraine. There's Zelensky and Millet, the two mad dog proxies for America. And so we had this issue of Iran hitting an Iranian commercial vessel. And was this an attempt to go ahead and escalate the war in Iran? to have Ukraine's participation in it as well. Ukrainian Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha says, well, I'll show you his post here. We're trying to sort all this out. I called Iran's foreign minister for a frank conversation. Diplomacy is about direct conversation, even when it's difficult. I stress that our goal is to avoid unnecessary escalation. I reiterated that all of Ukraine's actions are aimed solely at defending our country from Russian aggression and never intended to target civilian vessels or people. This is also true with regard to Iran's statement about their national who died and a civilian vessel that was targeted in a recent incident. Our goal is to counter Russian aggression, which is the root cause of all incidences, and it is Russia who bears full responsibility for all provocations and casualties. I emphasize the necessity to refrain from any escalatory steps, as well as to end any support for Russia's war against Ukraine. This war is illegal and it must end. Our position remains unchanged. Europe and the Middle East deserve stability, security, and peace. Iran's reply was Foreign Minister Argachai out of Iran says, was assured by Ukrainian foreign minister that the attacks on an Iranian ship was unintended and Ukraine seeks no escalation. Iran does not seek escalation either, but made clear any attack on our citizens or interest is unacceptable. There must be a restitution for losses. Zelensky, after his meeting with Trump, said, we discussed licensing the production of interceptors for the Patriot system, as well as several other ideas that could be helpful. We also talked about diplomacy. It is important to reinvigorate the diplomatic process. Our teams will coordinate the details of further communication. I'm grateful to the President of the United States for its steadfastness support. We're promised by Trump, if he was elected this current term, the Russia-Ukraine war would be over in 24 hours. That's what he had campaigned on. And he had said if he would have won in 2020, then this war would have never happened. And so it's just empty rhetoric, propaganda, and lies coming out of the liar-in-chief, Trump's fat, stupid orange face. Laura Loomer, the actor wearing the mask from Saw, no, seriously, makes me want to throw up. Anyway, Laura Loomer visits the Ukrainian drone facility Senator Lindsey Graham visited just before his death. And so here's this traitor to America, Laura Loomer.
Ukraine at the world-famous Skyfall drone manufacturing facility. I am holding the P-1 Sun drone interceptor, and you may have seen this drone interceptor recently because
they're very American with that star, right? It's just unbelievable. Ukraine launched more than 390 drones at the Moscow region overnight, we'll say in the last 24 hours, in what appears to be another attempt on Wildberries logistics hubs. Again, that's the equivalent to America's Amazon is Russia's Wildberries. But the actual hits landed elsewhere in Koldino near Podolsk. A drone caused a major fire at an 18,300 square meter third-party logistics warehouse, and another right next to the one of Wildberry's biggest hubs, which Wildberry says is operating normally. And you can see in these images their giant attack on logistics hub next to Wildberry's, I'm sure part of the same supply chains there in Russia. Ukrainian drones struck a major logistics warehouse in Moscow region that supplies products to supermarket chains, triggering a large fire. Here's some video of that attack here, if we can get it to play. There we go. Here's a good shot of it. You can see right there. They whacked them. They whacked that warehouse. Trump administration is set to ban imports of new Chinese humanoid robots, quadruped robots, and connected power inverters, citing national security concerns. Officials say the move aims to protect the U.S. AI supply chain, reduce cybersecurity risks, and encourage domestic manufacturing, according to CNBC. CENTCOM to launch first bilateral AI task force with UAE, who's been accused, and I do believe are guilty, of funding genocide there in Sudan. And we have the greatest partners now, don't we? We sure do. We sure do. CENTCOM to launch first bilateral AI task force with UAE. We reported last week they brought UAE in to be part of Pax Silica, giving them insider high-level access to military-grade AI capabilities. U.S. Central Command announced an agreement with the United Arab Emirates earlier today to establish the first bilateral task force focused on accelerating the development of military artificial intelligence applications. Sounds like a friggin' nightmare to me. They're helping build their section of Skynet. The U.S. UAE task force, named Task Force Talon Synapse, is scheduled to formally launch in the coming weeks. The Abu Dhabi-based team will consist of approximately 20 American and Emirati personnel with expertise in AI, data, and cybersecurity. This will be a historic milestone as we work with one of our most capable regional partners to rapidly deliver evolving AI advancements to our war fighters. Head of CENTCOM, Admiral Brad Cooper, said, "Together, we and our Emirati partners share a strong commitment to adopting AI applications that will foster innovation and speed and scale." Last year, Cooper and UAE National Security Advisor, how many names does this guy have? Sheikh Taoun bin Zayed Al Nahyan. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 names. Discussed the idea of potentially forming the task force. CENTCOM met with the AI industry leaders and Emirati defense officials during a trip to the region last month. The task force will focus on integrating AI applications for intelligence support, protecting critical infrastructure, and monitoring the regional security environment. So they're building their section there out of Skynet, essentially, here now in the UAE. They're great partners, right? No, they're dirty line criminals, like all governments. UAE quietly reopens Iran channels while deepening U.S. aardvark land ties. Abu Dhabi's stance reportedly shifted after it was clear the military campaign against Iran would neither collapse Iran nor break the IRGC. According to a report out of the Financial Times earlier today, the UAE has quietly been reopening diplomatic and economic channels with Iran while simultaneously deepening its military ties with Washington and aardvark land as financial activity returns to the UAE after months of war. The airport has quietly resumed Iranian flights for the first time since the fighting began. Emirates authorities have also readmitted around 20,000 Iranian residents of the UAE who were abroad when the war began. The UAE was an active participant in U.S. aardvark land war on Iran, not only hosting U.S. bases used to launch strikes on Iran, but also carrying out its own military attacks on Iran. As a result, the UAE absorbed the heaviest Iranian retaliation of any country in the region since April truce. However, Abu Dhabi has reportedly shifted its approach toward Iran. The UAE has quietly reopened diplomatic and commercial channels with Tehran, moving to ease the strain while keeping its military ties to both Washington and Tel Aviv intact. Wow, they're spinning a lot of plates there. Yeah, more on this. They go through here a little bit more details. Aardvark Land's embassy in Abu Dhabi has doubled in size, making it one of Tel Aviv's largest diplomatic missions anywhere. An Aardvark Land official said defense companies now maintain a permanent presence in the UAE, with some having operated there before the war, but their footprint now considerably larger. Meanwhile, Washington has significantly eased Emirati access to U.S. military equipment and to the chips underpinning the UAE's bid to become an AI hub as a reward for Abu Dhabi's role during the war on Iran as part of the US's Pax Silica initiative, a drive to lock down global AI supply chain and shut China out. We've covered all that. Yep. Trust dirty UAE. Taiwan's Han Kuang military drills next month will simulate a Chinese invasion. The exercise will test relocating weapons production, converting civilian factories for military use, and protecting key sea routes. It will also reduce mobile internet speeds to access wartime resilience under disrupted communications, according to a report out of Reuters. That's one of the next big shoes to drop, is right when and if is China going to make a move on Taiwan, right? As we report, some analysts out there have been saying that China may use Iran war. Well, America's caught up in that, depleted munitions and the like, to go ahead and make a move on Taiwan. Obviously, it hasn't happened yet. Taiwan is preparing for such an occasion here now with a simulation of Chinese invasion scheduled next month. We'll cover that as it develops. Iran publicly hanged 2 men. I thought it was, 52,000 protesters, Trump had told us. No, just literally made up the number. They hanged 2 men at dawn earlier today. in Ishfan's Al-Kanani Square, the same site as the January 2026 protest clashes for which they were convicted. 2 others were executed on July 19th, and 8 men remain under death sentence, including one defendant's cousin. So Iran killed these guys. They were executed by the criminal mullah regime this morning. The controlled demolition bombing campaign of southern Lebanon continues. Courtney Bonneau here with a report, but first, here's a list. You can see aardvark land attacks on Lebanon since midnight. You can see drone strikes, artillery shelling, illegal civilian home and infrastructure detonations, machine gun combing, and sound grenades. All these places, I won't attempt to pronounce them and butcher their names, but you can see right there. And the images show some of the bombing. We have quite a bit of images actually here. Some more coming out of southern Lebanon. And then here is her report on the ground.
Okay, so I'm in front of a illegal hula base, and they are screaming at me from the base. They're screaming in Hebrew and Arabic and in English. They're telling us it's danger and we need to get away. This is new. This hasn't happened before, so it seems maybe like they got new loudspeakers. They're definitely doing new fortifications, and the wall is significantly higher since the last time that I was here on November 13th. Their Makara is coming out. Oh yeah. Oh.
Wowzers. All right, more reporting there. Massive aardvark land explosions carried out Mansouriya, southern Lebanon. Here's that. Ongoing demolition campaign. And there's more images. Aardvark land occupation forces conduct controlled demolitions in Al-Mansouri, southern Lebanon. Here's a report out of the Cradle. Aardvark land strategy in southern Lebanon is clear. If you cannot own the land, destroy its capability to sustain life.
It's not just a war on land. It's a war on the land itself. Israel has been committing ecocide in South Lebanon since 2023. The political motive behind the destruction of these ecosystems is to enforce permanent displacement, strip local communities of their economic livelihoods, and establish territorial dominance by rendering the border region uninhabitable. A 106-page official report published by the Lebanese National Council for Scientific Research in April 2026 reveals the staggering ecological costs in South Lebanon. Over 5,000 hectares of forest destroyed, wiping out ecosystems and ancient pine and stone pine stands. More than 2,000 hectares of orchards were devastated, including over 800 hectares of olive grove. In total, agricultural asset damage and lost harvests stopped $700 million, threatening long-term food security. Even worse, The long-term toxicity. Soil samples revealed white phosphorus concentrations up to 1,858 parts per million, alongside toxic air pollution carrying dioxins across the region. This isn't collateral damage, it's a deliberate tactic. By poisoning the soil and burning the groves, ecocide becomes a tool to clear the way for total control.
Yeah, it's their thing, right? Poison the well, poison the land. It's kind of their thing. Here's the aftermath of an aardvark land attack on southern Lebanese village of Zawatar al-Garbaya. Shows the local mosque almost destroyed. It's pretty much destroyed. Take a look.
حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله.
Yep, they're leveling the joint. Still more. UN rights chief says mass displacement of Lebanon could amount to international crimes. Speaking at a press conference in Beirut yesterday, UN High Commissioner for Human Rights Volker Turk said the pattern of conduct forcing people from their homes and blocking their return may cross into criminality under international law. I am concerned that the overall conduct resulting in large-scale displacement and denial of returns could amount to international crimes, Turk said. At a school housing around 1,000 forcibly displaced Lebanese residents told Turk that aardvark land strikes had destroyed their homes, schools, health facilities, water distribution networks, electricity infrastructure, places of worship, and agricultural land. I am struck by this widespread damage and compounded suffering that I have seen, Turk said. The trauma, frustration, and despair are palatable, but so too is the demand for justice, which I hear resoundingly. He warned that the departure of UN peacekeepers could leave civilians in southern Lebanon exposed to new dangers, with UNIFIL mandate expiring at the end of this year. Really? What are UN peacekeepers doing, Jack? They're doing Jack. They're getting shot at by the IDF as well. Go over there, UN peacekeeper, and be a target for the IDF. Katz, war minister there out of Aardvark land. We all know and love this criminal, right? Him. He's talking in his language. See that? When they do that, I just can't, right? When they start going, it's like, dude, clear your throat, bro. Anyhow, this is not a laughing matter. It's deadly serious. They're killing the hell out of people, committing genocide, ethnic cleansing, and the like. He went on to say in this interview, 24 Lebanese villages, hundreds of years, we destroyed all the buildings, not house by house, but entire villages. Their destruction has been completed. You need to understand 15,000 to 20,000 homes across 24 villages have been destroyed. No claim they're Hezbollah, Hamas, anything. No claim they're terrorists. It's just, you're bad Lebanese and we're taking your land, bro. We got a greater Aardvark land project to build here. He went on to say, we are not collapsing. We are not the collapsing Aardvark War Minister Katz on Turkey. He's talking about Turkey. He says, we are not the collapsing Christian empire. Jerusalem is not Constantinople, which you conquered when you built the Ottoman Empire. We are here forever. Jerusalem is ours forever. We know how to defend ourselves and we are strong. Don't mess with us. My advice to Erdogan, president of Turkey, right, is not to mess with us and not to put himself in the position that Iran put itself in. He still has plenty of room to avoid that. Instead, he should take care of Turkey and its own affairs. We will take care of our own interests, and we will continue to do so. And there's a lot of reports floated around that Aardvark Land's looking to target Turkey next year now. I don't know how they could possibly do that with Turkey being a NATO member. Who knows? The world is insane. And I don't put it past them, right? Katz went on to say, in Gaza, we destroy not only what is underground, but also all the houses. Today, nearly 70% of Gaza has been destroyed. He's bragging right here on Aardvark TV. They destroyed 70% of Gaza. How you even listen to these guys, man, or talk? I don't get it, but they love it apparently. He said American fighter jets are taking off from Aardvark Land to carry out airstrikes against Iran, and the Iranians know it. If that's true, that speaks to, are they all working together? They are at the very top levels, because why then is Iran not targeting Aardvark Land sites where America's launching attacks on Iran, as they are in Jordan, Kuwait, Bahrain? We've gone down the list, all the different sites, the UAE, all the different American bases there have been targeted. I guess at the very beginning, right, they were hitting Aardvark Land pretty heavily, but not for a while. Not for a while. Boy George. Remember Boy George, 80s pop star? What was it? He's a big drug addict, had homosexuals chained up in his basement, something like this. Just a great individual, right? British pop star Boy George has voiced support for Aardvark Land and its backer several times in recent months, opposing boycott campaigns and expressing solidarity. We Will Dance Again, new song he released. We won't play it here for you. We Will Dance Again defends Aardvark Land's genocide in Gaza, takes aims at musicians and activists who have publicly supported the Palestinian cause, and includes the line, if you're ever confused, I stand with the Aardvarks. Well, thank you very much for that, Boy George. Faking gay, literally. And there you go. Yeah. We would expect nothing less. 60 released Palestinians returned to Gaza, describing torture abuse in Aardvark prisons. 60 Palestinian detainees were released from Aardvark prisons and returned to Gaza, arriving in Nasir Medical Complex in Kianis, visibly emaciated, injured, and in several cases unable to walk. The men, many of whom had been held for more than a year under Aardvark Land's unlawful combatants designation, described severe beatings, medical neglect, prolonged restraint, starvation, and degrading treatment. Several said they were shot or assaulted in custody, while others said they only learned of their release upon meeting Red Cross personnel for transfer, as reported by Al Jazeera. The release marks the largest since the first phase of the so-called October 2025 ceasefire. Rights groups continue to speak up against Aardvarkland's systemic regime of abuse inside prisons, such as Saeed Taim, Afur, and Negev, where Palestinians face arbitrary detention and torture. And then they also, part of it, well, let me just read the last part of this report. The International Committee of the Red Cross says it has been denied access to Palestinian detainees since October 2023, while a recent UN Commission of Inquiry found that Palestinian children in Aardvarkland custody have been subjected to torture, sexual abuse, and other forms of mistreatment. And so that they rape them in there in these torture centers, and then they know that that's going to be a red mark to the Muslims, and then release them back to be shamed and maybe even killed by the Muslims after their raping and torture experience in Aardvarkland prisons. Aardvarkland attacks kill 1, wound 14 as strikes destroy Gaza City mosque. And we do have video of that. Now that's a whacking of a mosque right there. Let's see. 1 Palestinian killed, 9 others wounded there after an Aardvarkland airstrike targeted a gathering at Al-Bal Atta Market. 3 Palestinians were wounded when a Aardvark drone struck the roof of a residential building belonging to Al-Kolka family. 2 Palestinians were wounded by Aardvarkland gunfire. Aardvark forces they destroyed that mosque. We just showed you the video of that. Aardvarkland and the United States are blocking this girl from leaving Gaza for medical treatment. They have made clear that the deliberate denial of basic minimum humanitarian aid and medical evacuations will continue at least until Hamas disarms. Gaza has about 4,000 cancer patients, thousands of sick and wounded children, and 18,000 people approved for evacuation on World Health Organization coordinated medical lists. They remain trapped until the United States president and Milei decide otherwise. There's a clip of this girl asking to escape Gaza for medical treatment.
كيف لا أقف ولا أمشي ولا أنام ولا حاجة ولا أتحرك عن الكروسة. أنا هرب عليهم اللي بسووا فيه ده. إيش بدك منه؟ أنا نفسي أسافر عشان أتعالج برا وأمشي.
So the suffering is part of the treatment. This report from another Palestinian detainee says this was a cry of pain from all detainees. I carry with me the pain of all detainees in part of me, deep inside of me. I carry their suffering. A released Palestinian detainee gives voice to the pain around 10,000 Palestinians still held in Aardvarkland prisons, describing harsh treatment, severe food shortages, and systemic medical neglect. This dude. And again, upon the torture and rape they receive as detainees, they're shunned by the Palestinian community as per design. So in the last 24 hours, 4 Palestinians killed, 14 wounded, 3 Palestinians were newly killed, while 4 died from previously sustained wounds. Since the ceasefire, that's not a ceasefire, October 11th last year, 1,207 Palestinians have been killed, 3,914 wounded, 803 bodies recovered from the rubble. And then the new total genocide official death toll since October 7th, 2023. The official death toll, and I do believe, and many others believe it's a lot higher than this, is at 73,333 dead Palestinians since October 7, 2023, with 174,023 wounded, according to the Gaza Ministry of Health. Gaza Technocratic Committee will govern only after Aardvark land withdrawal. The Palestinian Technocratic Committee, also known as the National Committee for the Administration of Gaza, NCAG, announced that it is prepared to assume governance of the Strip only after Aardvark land occupation forces withdrawal and following approval by both the Board of Peace and the UN Security Council, a position that appears to contradict recent Aardvark land briefings that the plan's initial phase would not require an Aardvark land troop withdrawal, according to a report out of Haaretz. Yeah, they're taking all the land. You're never getting anything back, Jack. Aardvark land War Minister Katz has issued instructions to expand the scope of the military assault on the occupied West Bank and to prepare to occupy another Palestinian refugee camp under the model of army invasions of Jenin, Turkarim, Nar Shams camps in early 2025. According to Aardvark land news outlets, Katz issued the order following a security assessment yesterday, attended by military commanders and senior security and intelligence officials. Here's a map to give you a little idea about these places right here. And again, they're bombing refugees in tents, not in the occupied West Bank, but in Gaza. And so they'll move, I'm sure they'll move those operations to bombing refugees there in the occupied West Bank as well, as they continue the controlled demolition campaign there. And did we got a 33 here. We got a 33 in this report as well. The orders appear to follow the pattern established. We named those places where more than 33,000 Palestinians were displaced last year. Aardvark land ultra-Zionist settlers uproot thousands of trees near Madama, southwest of Nablus. Village council head Nassar said the council received an order on July 6th to remove trees, although the settlers bypassed road known as Route 60. Around 1,000 trees were subsequently uprooted, most of them ancient olive trees. You can see right here a photo of that, making it unlivable. That's their program. All quite horrific. At least 8 Palestinians, including a child, have been killed since last Thursday in the occupied West Bank by Aardvark land military raids and ultra-Zionist settler attacks, according to UN Humanitarian Office. Earlier today, Aardvark forces detained at least 22 Palestinians while raids, assaults, demolitions, and land seizures were reported across several governates, Bethlehem, Ramallah, Hebron, Salfit, Nablus, Occupied eastern Jerusalem. Aardvark forces raided UNRWA's Vocation Training Center for the second time in under a month, detaining dozens of students and staff inside. They also arrested the son of Jerusalem's governor after raiding Silwan. Yesterday, on Monday, Aardvark forces demolished 4 homes, 18 shops, 2 inhabited apartments, and a livestock facility in Jinnah and Nalim, and occupied East Jerusalem. There's an ongoing arson campaign by the ultra-Zionist settlers, backed up by the IDF as well, going on there in the occupied West Bank. They're taking all of that land. Syria, they'll probably take some of Jordan too. Syria, Lebanon, Gaza, the occupied West Bank, they're taking it all. They may take some of Egypt. They may mess around and take some of Turkey. They've been talking about that. And take some of Jordan as well. They're taking it all, bro. Don't be an antiseptic hater. Their evil God told them 3,000 years ago, these fake antiseptics from freaking Poland and Eastern Europe have some divine right to go murder everybody. That's where we're at. It's quite a twisted tale of evil now, isn't it? All right. That's all the reporting we got for today. Have they blown up the world since we've been on the air here? Let's go to Iran International, latest headlines. Iran launched ballistic missiles at U.S. forces in Middle East. CENTCOM says, reported that at the beginning. IRGC Navy says it stopped 3 oil tankers in the Strait of Hormuz. How can they don't have a Navy? Trump has told us many times they don't have a Navy. We blew it up. IRGC Navy stopped 3 oil tankers in Strait of Hormuz. Somebody's lying again. Probably both of them. Definitely Trump. Iran targeted U.S. base and command center in Jordan with ballistic missiles, IRGC says in a statement. Iran hardliners attack Argachai over Ukrainian vessel remarks. Iranian hardliners want to attack Ukraine over that incident, and they're trying to back them down a little bit. U.S. Saudi forces strike Iran-aligned sites in Iraq, according to CENTCOM. Video show Iranian missile over Jordan. And finally, latest headlines out of Al Jazeera, and we'll wrap up this Tuesday broadcast for you. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Al Jazeera, U.S. Saudi forces attack Iran-aligned groups in Iraq over drone strikes. 2 Iraqi paramilitary troops wounded in air attack. IRGC strikes and stops 3 oil tankers in Hormuz. Saudi Arabia says joint U.S. strikes in Iraq carried out in self-defense. IRGC claims ballistic missile attacks on U.S. forces in Jordan. Get our troops the hell out of there already, man. Damn. They need to impeach Trump. We need to get our troops out. We need to stop the war. As this thing drags on, Iran war day 50 here now. The prices are not going down here for Main Street America. Everything costs so damn much you can't even do anything. You know what I mean? It's insane what they're doing to us here now. In large part due to price gouging by Rockefeller oil oligarchs. But it is what it is, as they say, and we're just getting killed by the massive inflation due to energy shortages and price fixing and price gouging. All right, friends, that's all I got today. Let's head over to the channels and see if we have any chat on the Odysee today. And then we'll get to the other channels after that. Shout out to Those listening on Odysee, I do see a few people over there. Thank you for joining us. Okay, shout out to John, Test. I know. John says, I would be delighted to see Trump and Aardvark land go away. Just go away. Go away. Shout out to BRRT. Shout out to Pink Vegas. Pink Vegas yesterday said something like my hair, she liked my hair after going over all those insults that I was getting on the YouTube. Fat Bob says it's that greaseball Sam Cheney reporting on all the bad news again. Let's attack him in the most sophomoric manner possible. He's talking about the trolls on YouTube there. There it is. Pink Vegas says Sam has gorgeous hair. Those people are jealous. Thank you, Pink Vegas. Thank you. It is. It's like junior high level stuff. The insults. It doesn't hurt me. You know what I mean? Thank you for sparing your audience of Boy George. They tagged me for copyright. I couldn't even play their stupid song where they love the genocide there. 33 equals boga da shite, in my opinion. Yeah. Yep. Fat Bob says, I think our media matrix is far, far more insidious than previously thought. All they do is throw up their symbols and laugh at us. When they do, Mag the Better Truth on YouTube. Baddest cat out there. You guys know, right? We've covered it. The television in and of itself, I don't even know about the new ones. They're probably even worse, but the old television, even the flicker rate is designed. I wrote a big article about it years ago. I should pull that back up, but the flicker rate is designed to put you essentially in a trance, right? And so that's how they put that subliminal messaging into your mind, because you're in the suspended state of disbelief through the flicker rate on the television. And that's how they implant all of this propaganda. One of the many ways, but that's a straight up flicker rate. That's a physiological way they get in your mind by putting you in a state of hypnosis under a trance through the television flicker rate. All right, friends, thank you for yes, Sam. I have researched not that, but the messaging. Yeah, look up the flicker rate on the television. It's deep, man. That TV is a mind control device. Make no mistake about it. All right, friends, thank you for tuning in on the Odysee and keeping that chat lively and respectable. Now on to the less respectable chats. First, everybody, thank you for tuning in on Odysee, X, Kick, Bitchute, Substack, Rumble, and YouTube. Let's see what YouTube had to say today. I'm sure it was all very kind comments. Let me scroll up here. I went all the way to the top as to not miss anybody. We had Thomas in there today. Shout out to Thomas from Alpha Mega Energy. Let's see. H. Hum. Denver. Shout out to you guys on the YouTube chat. Maybe it wasn't that bad today. It was getting crazy yesterday. American flag has tiny pentagrams. 50 stars, more like 50 pentagrams. When Cali gonna get hit with the big one? I don't know. That is a good question. Bippy says. There, if you guys have noticed, there've been a lot of activity in the Ring of Fire. Big earthquake in Venezuela last month, right? Or even, I think it was at the beginning of this month. Then we had Japan, right? So we're due. We're due here in California. Denver says the American flag bears close resemblance to later versions of the British East India Company flag. I don't think the American origin story of the flag is real. May very well be the case. Shout out to Silver on the Rumble. That's very impressive building design to sway with earthquakes, not tumble from the result. I agree. I agree there, talking about the earthquake. Lots of symbolism. Wonder what the stripes represent. The chevron on the, look that up on your army patches. It's all symbolism. Larry Loomer, Denver's so mean. Some of the stuff I can't say. I don't disagree with you, but I can't. I don't want to say it here. Is that Fat Bob? I don't think so, but you have some competition on the YouTube, Fat Bob, for the zingers. Hum is putting out some zingers over there on the YouTube. Shout out to Ruckus. I'd be wondering more about if U.S. will just Venezuela, Taiwan. Forget China. Crazy how government created drugs and claim to be against it. Like, wouldn't be surprised from Luciferian Masons. What did I expect? They are Luciferian. It's kind of their thing, right? Shout out to Carrie on the Rumble. I'm scrolling through the comments, seeing we had quite the comments on the YouTube today. Let's see. Carrie says 3,000 years of fighting over the same land. Yeah. Some are hard to get to. Quite a few comments, shots about important. Maybe it wasn't that bad on the YouTube. Yeah, we've been covering they want to fulfill their prophecies. Aardvarks want to do it. Christian Zionists want to do it. Muslims want to do it. They all these we're faced by religious fanaticism on all sides. All these different groups have their own end times prophecies they feel like they're doing their part to bring about. We've covered it in great detail on previous shows. Let's see here. Sure wish Cheeto would not have torn up the agreement Obama made with Iran. I don't even think that's the issue, but our own intelligence told them, and the State Department said Iran's not a nuclear threat, an imminent nuclear threat. Like, there's no reason to attack them. Thomas reminded me plug my business. Thank you for that reminder. Go to weaponizednews.com/shop. I haven't even been doing the accounting stuff lately. I should start plugging it again, I guess. God's Love on the Rumble says, enjoy Christian content. Check out this non-monetized channel providing sermons from diverse denominations. Is that God's Love 737? I guess so. On the Rumble. Greetings to Joe from South Wales. Shout out to Mac. Bucky snitched on Betsy Ross. He said, Buckminster Fuller. Thomas says the new world order has begun in Tehran. All this is a show. The new world order. Fat Pop says, sorry, I only frequent only Christian stations if they only play Rosetta Tharpe 24/7. Yep, same project, Denver says. Same project. All right, friends, that's all I got for you today. Thank you for joining us on this Tuesday edition of Weaponized News. As always, everybody do your own research, peace, love, and freedom. Speak out and take action. Have a great rest of your Tuesday evening. And we'll be back here on Wednesday for more Weaponized News. Let's pray for peace as things appear to be escalating once again in the Iran war on day 150. We'll see you tomorrow for more Weapon.